Good night, teacher. How are you?
Good evening, everyone. How are you doing?
Very good, thank you.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, Dianis.
Hola, Juanis. How are you?
Fine.
I always feel glad to see you.
Thank you, Dianis. Me too, me too.
We always speaking on the WhatsApp, so it's nice to see your face.
Thank you, thank you.
I will wait for more students to join us.
Okay,
Before
very
starting
good.
the encounter, okay?
Okay, that will be fine.
Good evening, Anna. We are waiting for more students to join us before we start lesson, before we start the encounter. Okay.
Por el dato, muchísimas gracias, bendiciones.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the encounter. We are going to start now. As usual, we are going to review the reading that you had last week, the previous week. So that was about groups and the definition of groups and different concepts that have been developed in order to define a group. You also had a reading about an article of a research carried out at a school in California that is related with the topic of ideologies. So I would like that you start by telling us or by mentioning what you remember about those readings, your understanding of groups, the information that you remember about the article that you read, your understanding of the definition of a speech community, linguistic community, and communities of practice. In general, the information that you remember about the topic that you read last week. So anyone who wants to participate is welcome to start.
Good evening. Can everybody hear me?
Good evening, Diana. We can hear you.
Oh, good. Defining groups.
Yes.
Okay. One characteristic is that a group of people have like same interest. They get together because they have motives in common.
Good. Do you remember something about the article read? The article about ideologies at a school in California?
The article about what, teacher? I'm sorry.
The article about ideologies at a school in California.
Okay. Give me 1 second because I'm with my baby right now.
Okay.
Teacher, teacher?
Jaime? Yes, Jaime, we can hear you.
Teacher. That I remember about the article is that in that school students can speak both languages, Spanish and English. The most important for students in that school is the result. No, doesn't matter what language the student use, uh, because there are many people that work in that school that use both Spanish and English. So the students can speak English or Spanish depending on the student feel more suitable or more
Okay, Jaime, you are right. So that was the policy or the ideology of the school that since students studied there were from Spanish origin, but they were in California, so they could interact either in Spanish or in English according to what the students wanted to use. That was the policy of the school. But as you mentioned, there were many people working there who had different ideologies. There were teachers from Spanish origin and from English origin. There were language assistants that were American, and there were parents that helped during the task time after the school journey. Those parents were from Spanish origin and they had a different ideology about the practice of or the use of the language at the school. Good, Jaime.
Teacher, I
Somebody
have
remember, I mean,
yes,
those ideologies? Fernando?
I have something more to add. According to the reading, they mentioned the teachers meet opinion, and he said that a 50-year-old the cultural like the cultural aspects where he teaches makes him like get involved with the language he's teaching. So for example, if an English teacher, if a 50-year-old teacher learns English and he starts losing Spanish, his ideology starts to change.
So what you mentioned is that people's experiences have an impact uh, or are connected with their ideologies about the language that they should speak. For example, in
Yes.
that context, that is California, at a school that have students that are not only American but also from Mexico and other parts of the world.
Teacher,
Yes.
sorry.
Yes. For
I remember that the Latin children that participate in the research prefer to speak in English even during after school because they were very strongly connected with the language. Even their parents make this kind of influence in their children because they think that it's best for them, yes, to speak only in the language, yes, that is because it's the country of the opportunity. So they think that they had to speak English in the school and after school because it would be better for them.
Good, Carlos. What you mentioned is the experience of one of the participants of the research, and that child's parents believe that the student only had to interact in English at school because, as you mentioned, the ideology was that if they had moved or if they were at California, it was because they needed to practice the language that was spoken at that country. So that it would give them more opportunities if they were able to perform very well in English. So that was one of the ideologies that were immersed there or that were present in that context. Good. Other ideologies, we all,
teacher, another ideology was the students' home language ideology.
what was that about?
Yes, it says that the students' home language ideology can influence language choices in two ways. Number one, some parents emphasize the importance of speaking both English and Spanish, and this causes the children to approach to bilingualism. And the other one is that there are parents who consider their children should only speak English in order for them to have. I'm sorry. In order for them to have like how do you say that like an important tool that they might use in their daily lives.
Okay, very good. So that was other ideology that students could speak both languages. And other people had the ideology that only speaking English was important to develop a good uh, or to perform well in that language because
Yes.
that will give them more opportunities or better opportunities when they grew up. Going to read Juan David's.
And what we have,
Fernando?
yes, what we have to take into account are the immigrants. That's
Yes.
social political aspect, a really important aspect.
Good.
In California, New York, it's immigrants.
Okay. Well, you were mentioning about you mentioned immigrants as important.
Yes.
Yes, the immigrants.
Okay. Yes. So one of those immigrants ideologies was that the child that was at that school only had to speak English at school because that was the place where he could practice. But other immigrants had a different ideology. Does anybody remember the ideology of the parents who helped during the tasks, during the homework after school?
Yeah, teacher. That was an ideology that, for example, they had to see, for example, in the school, they had to see all the, um, yes, all the texts in the school in English. And after school, their parents help them to see the same text, but in Spanish, in their own language. But it was on a special. I think that is the best ideology that you can implement in with the child, because it can be bilingual,
But the thing is that
and it's one of the most strong influence of the undergraduates and teacher on kids at the research.
and that's because immigrants, their parents, they don't speak the language, they don't speak Spanish, they don't speak English, I'm sorry, so they have to help their kids in Spanish. That's the reason why they recommend to help their kids even in Spanish,
Yes,
for them not to lose the language.
yeah, to associate English as an academic language, and then helping
We can't hear you, Carlos. Carlos? Do you guys hear me?